Hey everyone. This is Abdurrahman Amran. I'm leading the developer relations at Cartesi. It's really exciting day to be with you here. I'm excited to be with my friends and colleagues from Cartesi to kick off our first online hackathon. Today it's a special day for Cartesi and our ecosystem. You know, like for the past couple months, we have been participating in many online and offline in-person hackathons, like starting with Hack Boston, ETH San Francisco, India, Bogota, and recently Denver. And right now, we are seeing the energy and inspirational experiments that DApp developers are bringing to the ecosystem and bringing a lot of inspirations for us and for the whole ecosystem. That's why we thought about, let's bring this to the whole world, everyone to participate in as something that's meaningful, something that's bigger, something like an online hackathon global-wide, like worldwide for everyone to participate. And that's why we are having this kick-off ceremony or opening ceremony for our online hackathon. I'm really excited about what's coming. And I have my friends here to join me for the online hackathon stages. I'm going to cover some of these, how the day will go. Please remember, if you need any support at any stage, we are here to help you. Ask any questions online while we are in this live stream or on Discord. We are going to cover some of these together today. And let me quickly cover what's going to happen today in this opening ceremony. So we are going to cover a couple of things. This is a warm welcome for everyone. So everyone is welcome to join. And after that, we are going to have a quick introduction about what is Cartesi Rollups. Our developer advocate, Gabriel Bajos, is going to be covering this from a high-level technical perspective. And then Max, our BD, will join us to explain what is the hot verticals and what's the project showcase that you can build on top of Cartesi. Something exciting will be happening here. After that, we are going to have Jonas, director of Cartesi Labs. He is going to explain what is the community grants program, what we are providing, and how can you apply for a grant and the different grants that we are supporting. And after that, we are going to have our community builder, Shaheen. He is going to cover what support you can get and how can you reach out to our core contributors, where you can find support along this hackathon. So remember, this is not just a one-day hackathon. It's a 5 weeks hackathon. 5-week hackathon. Everyone within Cartesi team is here to help you. And we are going to be hosting a couple of online sessions throughout these upcoming weeks. So I'm very excited to be here. And I'm happy to be with my friends and colleagues from Cartesi to introduce you to the different parts of the hackathon. So yeah, that's me. And now we can go back to Joe. Joe, he is our director of Cartesi Labs. We are going to go first to Gabriel Bajos. He's developer advocate who is going to talk about Cartesi Rollups. So yeah, let's go back to Joe, to Gabriel.
Hi there, guys. I'm gonna be talking about Cartesi, how is the technology built, what is offering you, how it's different. Claudio, can you bring the presentation, please? Thank you. So, what is Cartesi? Cartesi is an app-specific rollup execution layer with a Linux runtime. That's a mouthful, right? Let's first focus what is app-specific rollup. So in blockchain, we have the famous or the infamous trilemma of decentralization, security, and scalability. And like other layer 2 solutions, Cartesi focus on the scalability part, trying to not make bad on the decentralization security pieces. And the application specific is about a shared state. So most of the chains and Ethereum is like this, and many of the layer 2 solutions out there as well, they have something we call the global state shared between all the application. What this means is you have a single network, a single source of truth, and data shared among all the applications. Whenever you deploy a new DApp, you are basically competing for space among all the other applications over there. And also, it means that all validators or miners, whatever the network's built with, is validating the transactions for all the applications at the same time. Now, on app chains like Cartesi, what you have is the equivalent of a smaller network specific to each DApp. And that is possible because we can still rely on Ethereum to maintain the security of it. However, it also means that you don't have to share the resources again with all the other applications. So for instance, in the image that we have over here, DApp B could become very successful, very it can scale so much without really hurting whatever is going on with DApp A and DApp C, differently to what we're seeing with the CryptoKitties. So whenever CryptoKitties show up, everybody was so excited to use it, and they basically clogged the network, in stopping everybody else from using it. And with app chains, that is not a problem anymore because the resources for each application is separate. That was the app specific piece of it. Now, what is up with the Linux runtime? So that is possible because of the Cartesi machine. So Cartesi built a RISC-V emulator. It is a processor, much like the one you have on your computer, which means you have a complete machine, not something so small and simple like the EVM. That means now that you can have an OS on top of it, and we ported Linux to it. So this means that you can have access to all the languages, all the tool set, everything that was possible to do on your computer so far is possible to do on blockchain again, except from using the internet. You're still sandboxed by the blockchain ecosystem. Now, we talked about the Linux runtime, but what does it mean when everything comes together? It means that now you have a computational capacity of a full computer and the programmability that comes with it. You have access to all the languages that you're used to, like Rust, C, Python, but at the same time, all the tool sets that come with that. So the libraries, the Open Computer Vision libraries, for instance, the SQL databases, whatever you used to have for doing it backend software, you have available for you right now through Cartesi inside the blockchain ecosystem. But why does everything I said so far matters for the blockchain ecosystem? What does it bring? What is adding to the system? Blockchain is hard. First thing, Solidity doesn't scale. It's really good at solving what it's trying to do. It's a language that is built for this domain. It's a domain-specific language. So if you can solve your problem with Solidity, you should. However, it does not mean that it's gonna fit all the shoes. So Solidity is not really good at porting content. It's not really good at leveraging the work of others. It's really limiting when you try to use libraries for it, for instance. And even if it was good, we would need to port all the stuff that we've been building so far to Solidity first. Second, the global state doesn't scale. Like I was saying, it's going to be a problem at certain point to applications that are really successful. And it's also hindering smaller applications to finding their own niche, because now you need to be bound by the fees, the logic, all the incentives that are permeating the network that you decided for your application instead of having your smaller community. Then blockchain needs new developers. And like I was saying with Solidity, but not limited to it, EVM itself, it's a very complicated thing to grasp. You could have just understand the mindset of how to develop applications for blockchain and go from there. But unfortunately, AVM is already forced you to understand every nitty-gritty detail of how they work before you can actually do the application. So that slows down the adoption progress of new developers. But now, if you have the ability to use whatever language you're used to, if you have the ability to use whatever library and frameworks you're comfortable with, it's easier to get new developers into the system. And finally, innovation is nice, but innovation is done better when you can leverage the work of others. That's the whole concept with open source. So if you can have giant shoulders to stand upon, then it's easier for you to create new things. But who is it for? It is for the whole Web3 community. It's for everybody who wants to improve the blockchain ecosystem. So you can have outscaling dApps and communities that are growing so large, it's difficult to keep working within the constraints of Ethereum. But it can be also that you need to be updating your system constantly, and Solidity doesn't make it easier. It can also be that you just want to develop new applications that were not possible before, but now since you can process image, crunch a lot of data, you can create new disruptive applications. It's really good for DAO governance as well, because you're very limited by how much you can process in a single Ethereum transaction. And that is true to some extent to all the other layer 2s as well, because they're still inside the EVM ecosystem. Now you can have much complex rule systems developed, for instance, in Python, that is way easier to prove that it's correct, and it's way easier to understand and maintain. It's better also for DeFi. So DeFis have been hindered by the ability of crunching data, doing data analysis. And that is not a problem at all. If you have an OS, you have a database, and it can do what would be 10,000 years of computation on EVM. And finally, it is awesome for games because you don't need to be jerry-rigging your logic inside the EVM ecosystem. You don't need to be porting things into bytecode. You can just port whatever you're already using for your client UI. You can use whatever engines were available to you before and just port it to the RISC-V emulator that you've built. And these are just the beginning of what is possible with Cartesi. These were the things that we've been seeing happening in previous hackathons and applications that other people inside the community have been developing. And that's what Max is gonna show you next on his presentation.
Thanks, Gabriel, for this comprehensive overview. Great to be here. Really excited about this hackathon. So as Gabriel just mentioned, I want to go a bit about some of the other possibilities. Gabriel already went into some details here, and I'll share a bit more about what's possible with Cartesi, what the opportunities are, maybe a few hints for you guys who might hack on Cartesi of some potential ideas that you might want to explore in the future. And I'll also cover a few of the community projects that we've already seen in the past. So I want you guys to start thinking about what you can build with this combination of having, the computational capacity of a full CPU. So you have access to the full power of the computer. You're no longer bounded in terms of computational capacity. And using the programmability of a traditional web server. So being able to tap into huge amounts of content that were not available to you in the past in Web3. So on his first point, leveraging Cartesi's computational power, with Cartesi you can stop trying to minimize costly interactions with the blockchain. This is often the focus in Web3 development because you're competing with other applications for block space. As Gabriel just mentioned previously, you have your own application-specific rollup. So you're not facing these issues that you might face traditionally, and you don't have also these predictability issues as to the future of your application. There are no external parties, externalities that might affect your application because they might eat up block space, since you have access to the full power of the CPU. That means that you can really focus on building out complex applications and features that can also be way more computationally demanding than in the past. So start opening up your mind to kind of these ideas as well, and these concepts. The second part here is really leveraging Cartesi's programmability. So, you have all these abstractions that are unlocked because you have access to basically the programmability of a traditional web server. You have access to all the content that is accessible through Linux. So you can think about which, complex libraries, for example, you would like to tap into for your DApp. So these are just a few hints, a few ideas, or a few ways that you might want to start thinking about to kind of get to where you want to the ideas that you would like to build out, essentially. So there's a ton of areas that you could explore. Remember, Cartesi is a general purpose execution environment, so possibilities are nearly infinite, right? But these are some of the verticals that could be interesting to explore if you want to get started somewhere. Moving from on-chain games, moving actually the logic of games on-chain is something really interesting. Moving away from NFTs simply being what is on-chain, but actually moving the logic on-chain creates tremendous new possibilities and actually redefines what games are. This is the future of gaming, I think. AI machine learning algorithms being verifiable through Cartesi is also a really interesting opportunity that we will discuss in a second with a few examples. Obviously, dynamic NFTs are super interesting. NFTs that evolve, again, in a verifiable and decentralized way are super interesting. Moving DeFi into more complex solutions. So, actually using potentially some algorithms or pricing certain assets through complex logic is something that you could do with Cartesi as well. Social identity and reputation is a big topic today. How do we, for example, calculate a score or credit score that can allow you to potentially, again, connect it to DeFi, take out an under-collateralized loan. These are all things that fall under and are only kind of the tip of the iceberg of things that you could do around social identity and reputation. Kind of reputation scoring, creating kind of this tree, this graph of information of what happens on chain and calculating things based on that is something you could do on Cartesi as well. Obviously, complex DAOs, Gabriel went into this a bit. Developer tooling is always something that we welcome, obviously. How do we make this even more accessible to developers and more useful? And finally, decentralized science is also very interesting. Verifiable compute solutions are things that our DeFi developers are currently focusing on. And Cartesi, again, is a very good fit for that as well. So I'd like to go into a few snippets, a few examples of projects that were built on Cartesi. We will have a session on Tuesday, so we will go a bit deeper into these projects. So please join that one if you're curious. I think it'll be really useful and will give you some inspiration about ideas that you could develop as well on Cartesi in the coming month. But let's start with a few on-chain games. Ultra Chess is a really interesting on-chain game that is actually building on-chain bot versus bot chess. As you know, chess is getting botted a lot nowadays. So, if you're playing online, you're not really sure if you're playing against a real person or a bot. So what this developer wanted to develop with Ultra Chess is actually a game where you're building your own bot that compiles down to RISC-V and allowing that to compete against other bots fully on-chain. Isn't that amazing? Another game is Dinder, which is, this combination of Pokemon and Candy Crush that runs fully decentralized on a Cartesi machine. So you can actually verify that there was no cheating, that you actually achieved a certain score by playing the game. And, the big question in the tech community is always, but will it run Doom? And yes, actually, Eduardo, one of the core contributors at Cartesi, was able to run Doom about a month ago inside a Cartesi machine. Isn't that amazing? Now, we can go also further around AI and machine learning algorithms. We had a few examples. One of them is Gar on Chain, which actually tries to price houses through a model, a machine learning model here to price houses. In this case, it was NFT parcels and houses, but this could be extrapolated to many other industries to price assets across the field of, also even real estate in the real world. The biometric classifier here is another proof of concept which actually performs a decentralized biometrics verification and spoof detection on chain, actually using one of the abstractions that Gabrielle mentioned, OpenCV. This is also really cool. Now going to complex DeFi, we had a project, for example, in East San Francisco at a previous hackathon, Nucleus, which actually wanted to build out an on-chain lending and borrowing platform with collateral risk computation. One of the issues in the Mango hack was that the collateral was, the hacker was able to, or the exploiter was able to increase the value of one of the collateral assets and was able to take out a big loan. Nucleus wants to solve that by actually computing the risk score of a certain asset and mitigating or reducing the risk of something like that happening in the future, which is also very interesting. Now we're excited about the ideas, the experimental ideas and projects that you will come up with in the coming month. We're really excited about this. And again, we have another session on Tuesday at 1 p.m. UTC for the community spotlight and AMA session. We will dive into some of these ideas a bit deeper, also from a developer perspective. And I think this would be really useful if you're interested to dive deeper into these topics. Again, thanks a lot for joining, and really excited to see your ideas. And I'll hand it on to Joe, I believe. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Max. Hey, everybody. My name is Joe Nance. I'm the director of Cartesi Labs. And those who have been following the project for a while are probably familiar with our initiative to identify and fund promising projects and teams, which is the original focus of Cartesi Labs. However, we would like to decentralize and make more transparent our effort, involve the community more, which is why instead of just focusing on discretionary grants, we're now pivoting towards a community grant program, which you can find more information by going to our website and clicking on the governance tab. And that'll take you to our community grants forum. It's our governance forum that'll include some other initiatives as well. But right now, if you go there, you'll find a place to submit your proposals for grant applications. If you're building something which you feel has a longer sort of run than just a one-off project for a hackathon, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to showcase it if you're trying to get more funding or develop it further. And it's a place for you to get feedback from the community to incorporate that into your project and to explore different ways that maybe others might find more palatable. But on our governance forum, not only can you post your proposal for funding, you can comment on other people's projects that they're trying to get funding for. You can blue sky some ideas that maybe you're not trying to build yourself, but you would like to see others build and that you feel are tractable problems to solve. And if you're lacking some inspiration for a project to get started in the hackathon, we also have our request for proposals, RFP. You'll find on the same page, and there's currently 2 that are live right now. There's a decentralized painting canvas using the Cartesi rollups, as well as a validator watcher. And these requests for proposals are projects that our core tech team have dreamt up, that have already kind of vetted that they're tractable problems, they're tractable projects to get started on, and they're viable given what you can do with our technology already. And they have a very high likelihood of getting funded if you were to apply for those. The way that this community grants program works is once you submit your proposal and have the community discuss it and get feedback, and there's some activity there, it goes to a vote on Snapshot, which you may be familiar with other projects using for DAO governance. And the project goes on to Snapshot to get voted whether it should be funded or not. And if it passes, then we begin the process of funding your project. So we do have these initiatives in place. We'd love to see you take your hackathon project and really give it the next step, see what's really possible, and we'd like to support that. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about that. Post in our forums. We're always active on there. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Shaheen right now.
Hello, thank you, Joe. Thanks for comprehensively covering community grants program. So we are going to be developing many projects during this hackathon, but the question is, where do you get the support? Where do you get to talk to the team for this? So Discord is very important when it comes to support. I'll just link if you haven't joined Discord yet. Please make sure to join the Discord. I just posted the link in the chat. And make sure to have a Hackmaster 2023 role in there. It will allow us to kind of identify who are the hackers there. If you don't have the role, let me know. You can tag me right there on the Discord, and you can let me know, and I'll provide you the hacker role. Also, we have a dedicated category on the Discord, so you could post your any general queries about the hackathon during in the general channel. And also, if you're looking to form a team, like we know there are many people who have registered individually, and if you want to form a team, if you're looking for a team, or if you already have a team, but also you're looking for just one more person, you can post all your requirements, all your descriptions. There's a channel called Find a Teammate. You could post your requirements in that channel. And also, there are multiple resources. You have Cartesi Docs, we have Rollups Examples repository, and Max talked about ideas and different verticals that you could think about. Omran just posted the links for the ideas as well. If you need some GitHub repositories, it's right there. We have linked many examples for you if you want to take inspirations from those examples. And yeah, you could also find previous hackathon winners on Discord. You could chat directly with them, and you could also have chat with core contributors. If you feel like you need a more dedicated support, we could kind of book a time for us. You can DM us, and we can book a meet for like a couple of minutes or half an hour to talk about your solution, how we can refine it, things like that. So yeah, if you need support, you want to talk to the team, please join Discord. And yeah, good luck for the projects. Over to you, Omran.
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for the extra minute. I forgot to add one guideline that I'd like to see exercised for any of those who are aiming to apply for funding out of a project that they complete during the hackathon. Our pivot to fund community projects through this community grants program, we're really leaning to fund reusable components and public goods, if you will. So you're free to create anything that's monetizable or that has a closed source component. However, if you are going to use it to apply for a grant, we'll only be funding the open source version that is does not have a monetization component. So if you're going to build something that has either of those, make sure it's modular so that you can decompose it into a grant proposal that's palatable to the Grants Council that'll be evaluating it. So thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm just going to jump in real quick. Mr. Omran, it seems that your microphone is off. So
Can
turn it on
can
and
you
let's
hear
go
now?
back to the
Is it
beginning.
good now?
Yes, there you go.
Oh, right. Yeah. Cool. So let's go back for a minute. I was going to say thank you, Joe, for covering the community grants program. Thanks everyone for, behind the screen. Like we had Gabriel covering the technology Cartesi rollups. What is it? And like from high level perspective, what you can do, what you can achieve using Cartesi rollups. Also, we had Max talking about the verticals, like the hot verticals, and some of the ideas that you can build. Some examples that have been built already on top of Cartesi. And we had Shaheen covering the support channels. How can you reach out to the core contributors? Discord, it's 24/7 support that you can get anytime throughout the whole process. So right now, I'm going to give you a very quick high-level overview about what's the expectations from this hackathon, right? So first of all, like let's talk about the challenge itself. This is an open canvas. Like you can like develop any idea that you have in your mind. It's not restricted to a specific vertical. It's not restricted to a specific domain. Like we are opening this for you. It's up to your creativity. Like you can design something that's related to AI, machine learning, biometrics, IoT, DeFi, NFTs. It's not limited to a specific domain, right? We are providing some of these ideas on the GitHub link that we posted a few minutes ago. You can see this as inspirational guidelines, but it's not limiting or restricting you to develop anything on top of Cartesi, right? So that's the first thing that I'd like to highlight, which is it's open canvas, and you can get some support on the idea if it's feasible or not to form teams on Discord to ask for help from our core contributors. Our technical and non-technical teams are always available on Discord, and you can reach out to us anytime. So that's the first point. The second point that I'd like to cover is participation. So participation is open for everyone. It's not limited to any geographical location. It's not limited to any time zone, age, country, whatever. Like anyone can join this hackathon. If you have an idea that you would like to develop, if you would like to build a proof of concept MVP, or if you would like to build a team and see if you can kick off this idea from the ground up and have it a real project, and who knows, maybe you can deploy it later on mainnet and take it as a startup idea, right? So participation is open for everyone, and we are welcoming anyone and everyone from all backgrounds to join us for this hackathon. You can join as an individual, you can join as individual, or you can build your own team. So it's from 1 person to 5 persons. Like you can build a team up to 5 people inside that team, and you can compete with other projects for the prizes that we are going to talk about right now. Let's talk a little bit about the deliverables. What are the deliverables that we expect? Like, or how do we evaluate the projects? Let's say. So usually, like core contributors, when we review the projects, we look mainly on a couple of points. The first point is product market fit. I know in the beginning it might be MVP, might not have all the specifics, might not be fully implemented, but just like think about the idea that you are trying to provide a solution for. Is it a real challenge? Is it a real problem that you are trying to solve? Does it provide a real value for the community? Does it provide a value for people who are going to use it or not? So product market fit doesn't have to be a fully functional project, but at least it's trying to solve on its fully implemented phase. It's going to be solving a real issue, right? So that's the first point. The second point is originality of innovation. Like, is it something creative that you created, or it's kind of like re-implementation in a creative way for an existing idea? So we look also on that aspect, the innovation aspect, right? That's the second point we are looking into. Implementation quality. One of the things that we know about hackathons, hackathons are usually 2-3 days, right? But for this hackathon, we are having 5 weeks of hackathon. So within these 5 weeks, you have a lot of time to collaborate with your friends. You have a lot of time to collaborate with other blockchain developers, with your team, to interact with us on Discord, on other support channels. So we can provide you with feedback, support, technical support for whatever you want. So the implementation quality that's important, and we are trying to provide all the support that you need, technical and non-technical, within these 5 weeks, so you can reach a maturity level of that implementation. The next point is actually the technical complexity. Since you have 5 weeks of development, like you can start developing right now. You can start your project from today and start developing on top of that until the deadline of the submissions. Like you have almost 30 or 35 days to submit your project. So try to implement the critical parts of your application. Try to focus on the core value of your application. Some parts might not be ready by the submission day, but focus mainly on the critical parts in your opinion. And lastly, the level of completion. So yeah, it's the originality of the idea, the innovation, the creativity. Is it like the product market fit? Is it providing a real solution for an actual problem or not? And the implementation quality, the technical complexity, the level of completion. Think about this, and all of this information already public on the link that we shared previously, like the hackathon landing page itself. So yeah, that's the deliverables, what we are expecting from your side, like for all the submitted projects. Let's talk about the exciting part, which is the prizes. So we are providing a 15,000 USD of value for the winners of this hackathon. So 15,000 USD, it's split between first, second, and third winners. The first one will be 5,000 USD team prize. Second is going to be 3,000, and third will be 2,000. And we have a 5,000 of shared pool. This will be split between all qualified teams, like 5 qualified teams. Each one of them will be having 1,000 of prize amount. So that's the prizes. But don't think about this as that's everything that you can get out of this hackathon, because Joe already mentioned the grants program. If you have a really cool idea that you built and you win, or you didn't win, you can still apply for the grants program, right? So the grants program is open for everyone. And once you go through the grants program, you can, if you got accepted through it, you can get more support through this community grants program. So yeah, these are the prizes. And we are looking for the creative ideas that you are going to build and create on top of Cartesi. Some important dates to keep in mind. We are having a couple of online sessions that's coming soon. So we know that hackathons, some people might be participating for the second, third time for hackathons, so they know how is the dynamics. But some other people might be participating for the first time, especially for an online hackathon. That's why we are preparing some workshops, online sessions for you to guide you throughout the technology itself. Like Gabriel is going to be hosting an in-deep technical session, step by step. How can you develop on top of Cartesi? And also some other core contributors might be joining, like Carlo, Lino, and others. Also, Max is going to be covering a community spotlight, going in more details about these projects, right? The projects that he mentioned, he is going to be going into deeper details and having questions from the community, answering them, and having a kind of engagement with everyone. So keep in mind these dates. We are having like next week, March 25th, we are going to have the first, March 28th, we are going to have the first community spotlight. After that, every week we are going to have an online session. Everyone is welcome to join. It's going to be public and streamed everywhere, and also recorded, so you can watch it later. We are going to have a community spotlight, a team formation activity, a workshop and coding bootcamp, and finally, after the submission deadline, we are going to have a submission demo day. Like you are going to go on stage and present your project. So yeah, that's some of the important dates. I'd like to thank everyone who have been participating in this opening ceremony from Cartesi team, like everyone who joined this call from the community. Thank you, everyone. I guess we can come here and say happy hacking for everyone, and let's wish for a very inspirational hackathon, right? If anyone would like to go live and say something before we say goodbye, please feel free. All right. So yeah, happy hacking, I guess. Please remember what Shaheen mentioned. We are here to support you everywhere. Like Discord server is here to support you, and you can reach out to everyone on Twitter or Discord or everywhere. Thank you for listening, and happy hacking. Waiting for you to join the hackathon on the link that we shared. Feel free to ask any questions. Goodbye.